How does technical evolution, data AI, metaverse, cryptocurrency change business?
Thank you so much for this short introduction. My name is Jeppe Stockholm. I have the honor to be the moderator today. And today's topic is, how does this technical evolution change business? As a short introduction to all of you, I can tell a little bit how the technical evolution changed my business. And I want to take you back to year 2000. I was finishing law school in Copenhagen. I was starting with Deloitte. And they promised to pay for a PhD for me, because I had to do a PhD within e-commerce. And then in 2001, we had the dot-com crash, and everything just went down. And then I came into the managing partner's office, and he said, Jeppe, it's not so good with this e-commerce. We do not believe in it anymore, because no one is making money. And the only one making money on e-commerce is something with sex, porn, and gambling, and we cannot do that in Deloitte. So that was how the technical evolution at that time really changed my business, because then I couldn't do e-commerce because of those things. Everything was changing. But right now, a lot of things are also changing in society. And here I have a beautiful panel of very distinguished people. And I will just let you introduce yourself one by one, and then we'll start with all the questions. But if you can start.
Very well. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Scerri. I'm a lawyer by profession here at CSB Group. Essentially, my background is in regulated industries, regulated markets, as well as iGaming here in Malta. So I think nowadays I focus a lot on fintech and iGaming mainly, and I come from the legal side of things more than anything else.
My name is Paweł Łaskarzewski. I'm a serial entrepreneur and engineer. I started to work for Boeing 20 years ago, working on the planes, which probably most of you are using for the last 20 years. I built a couple of companies right now in the blockchain space, mainly in the RegTech and Fintech, so to help companies to use the financial services and to move from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0 smoothly.
Hi, hello, I'm Taz. I'm actually a small angel investor and a startup growth builder. I had founded my own company in Greece, which I exited privately, and then I would think the most important achievement was working for Crossover Work, bring it to become one of the first remote-first companies back in 2015. So at this point, I'm definitely focused on fintech and climate tech as a growth ground and, of course, investment ground.
My name is Andre Stewart. I work for a company called Incode, which does identity verification. Previous to that, I've been in the industry of cybersecurity for the last 20 years. I've been with 5 startups. This is the 6th startup. In cybersecurity, you're always trying to provide a level of security on the internet. I obviously moved over, and now I'm trying to make sure that we can identify people, KYC, make sure that we know who's on the other side of the transaction so that we can improve business on Web 1.2, Web 1.3.
Amazing. So when we think about the whole technical evolution, we can of course look forward. We could also look a little bit backward to see what happened previous in time. And if we look into the whole information revolution, a lot of people will say, okay, but the printing press, it was something that really changed our society. We got the Reformation, and a lot of things was changed. And then if we go fast forward to now, with our information age, with the internet and the development of the internet, many would say that we are right now entering a new age. Not only a new information age, but also a very disruptive and innovative age where things go pretty fast because we have some big technologies right now changing our society. Which technologies do you see right now having the greatest impact on this technical evolution?
Okay, I can start. I'm going to be the pioneer of this question. So in my opinion, in general, I can speak about the blockchain as a technology, because for me, blockchain is the next general purpose technology. Like we had steam engine in the past, electricity, like we had internet, AI, like a couple of years ago. So right now we are in the moment when blockchain is starting to become one of the new general purpose technology. And the best example of this is that most of the people do not know that in some cases they are using blockchain right now. I will ask a question to our crowd. So who is using a Visa card out from the people that are on this, in this room? So I'm using, hands up, yeah, perfect. So I bet that most of you don't know that since 2019 you are using blockchain every time you are paying with your card, because Visa in 2019 changed the underlying settlement system to USDC on Ethereum, because they wanted to simplify and speed up the settlement between sites worldwide and to make transactions cheaper. So more people can step into the place and more organizations can make transactions through Visa network. And this is what adoption is all about, and that's why I think it's a general purpose technology.
That was a brilliant example of a use case from the blockchain space. But when we talk blockchain and we talk data, it's also very natural to then talk artificial intelligence. So what is going on right now with the artificial intelligence and all this big data? What is next step? Where are we heading at the moment?
Take that question. Right, so the underlying added value of big data, AI, is personalization. We're getting to a situation where we even see it with large Fortune 500 players. I mean, on BFS, in insurance, in telco, media, and energy players, they're going towards like a 360 approach on capturing their clients' needs and becoming a provider of personalization in terms of service. So big data and understanding of patterns, understanding of market trends, understanding of maybe needs of their clients that haven't been really externalized or realized yet through various data points or through various touch points is where I believe it's headed towards.
So I would like to add to this, to what have been said, that there is a huge industry growing that we know from Web 2 in Web 3 right now. So digital advertising in the Web 3, because we have a lot of data in the Web 3 about the transactions. So it's basically not the information that I bought something on the Amazon. It's the information I bought this, and this on the Amazon. So this is giving much better possibilities to target people to do an advertising within the metaverses, for example, and other places. And this industry is growing very fast. And my friend just met people from Google in Singapore on Token 2049. And they said that they are starting their operations and to work on this, to get those data and analyze them.
Please allow me to be the devil's advocate here, because we have all these new technical developments and things are going pretty fast at the moment. But we also sometimes see some very big clusterfucks where something just goes wrong, especially when it comes to cryptocurrencies exchanges. Somehow they always have to go up and then very fast go down. Can we trust all this? And how can we implement more trust? Should we go to the legal side then, and then just make more rules? Or are rules not the answer to all this?
I think rules are a very good starting point. I think we need to acknowledge we live in a real world, we're real human beings, and we interact with one another, and our assets can go up, can go down. We can make a loss, we can suffer, we can do well, but ultimately regulating or safeguarding ourselves is not necessarily the best way of making sure that a product goes to market smoothly, that adoption is at a level where the end consumer does not know that they are using a specific technology or product. So more of a standard-based, I think, approach towards disruptive tech, whatever that may be, would be more appropriate than a prescriptive approach to regulation, which ultimately would also mean that we don't stifle your little fish.
I'd like to say that trust is extremely important to be doing business. At the moment, we don't know who's behind a blockchain. We don't know who's behind a cryptocurrency. And I think one of the big evolutions is going to be on identification. And it's clear that IDs were paper-based. They were made for us to pay taxes or go to the military. They weren't made for the internet. The internet is completely different, and they definitely weren't made for Web 3.0. So we have to find a way that everybody can be identified for who they are uniquely. We use face as, the face biometric side, which is unique, but we also need to know who's on the other side of the transaction on the Metaverse. So we will have to be able to give people a certain risk level,
But now when we are entering the Metaverse, then we're also entering a space that is pretty decentralized. And right now, with the Web 2.0, we have a pretty centralized approach from Amazon, Facebook, big blue chip players. But then also now we are entering a space that is much more decentralized, a lot more small players, upcoming players with not so big funding compared to the centralized players are entering a space. Everyone right now is fighting for power in virtual worlds. So how do you see this transformation? Who will be the big driver, and where are we heading right now with this decentralized? How decentralized can it be in a world where we all have to live?
Sorry, I think that the way where it's going to go, it's the cooperation way. So we will not fight so much in the future. Obviously, there will be some fights, there will be M&As and a lot of stuff that is usually happen in different industries. But in general, the cooperative way is going to be the one that is going to win the market. Why? Because in general, blockchain is underlying layer to exchange any kind of digital assets. So if we're going to have Facebook, if we're going to have the central and 20 other organizations based on the blockchain in the future, in my opinion, all the digital assets in the future are going to be based on the blockchain. That means that I can get my assets from Amazon, go to Google. I can get my Google assets and go to any other player because I'm the owner of it. There is not going to be centralization. You will have still all those organizations on the market, but the ownership, the transfer of the ownership is going to be made towards people. And I would not be surprised that, for example, if we will move forward to like future into 5 years, that on our iPhones, our wallet on our iPhone is going to be a crypto wallet secured by our Face ID, so we don't need to remember those 12 words, we don't need to remember the private keys. So tools are going to be implemented to secure people, to remove all the obstacles that they have right now in the road to enter the space. It's going to be much easier, it's going to be much more affordable, and it's going to be supported by those big players to onboard those smaller ones and to allow the free market to exchange digital assets. So this is, in my opinion, the way it's going to be in the future.
Right, I just would like to add a bit on top of that. Obviously, I mean, Paweł, I do agree with you. Obviously, there are some underlying challenges, like cybersecurity, of course, data privacy, the Web3 scalability of infrastructure or lack thereof. Naturally, these sort of 360 approach in immersive environments are, the way to go. But I do believe that we will be needing some regulations because, bubbles don't deflate, they burst. So what do you get lessons learned out of that? You need to get to mass adoption. How do you get to mass adoption? By building trust. So how can you get to trust? Well, pretty much getting through some regulations, and I do believe, our lawyer co-panelists can add on that, but regulations and compliance are going to be some underlying framework to build that in the next 3 to 5 years, I think.
When it comes to regulation, compliance, it's the ultimate tool to build trust. Ultimately, you're giving a tool for your end consumer, for your man in the street to seek recourse if they are in some way, shape or form aggravated. But 3 main pillars which we would need to regulate, I think, are critical. Number 1, it's user behavior on this digital world, right? How do you regulate user behavior in a forum where jurisdiction is not too clear, ultimately. Secondly, it's the interoperability of my assets on one platform to be assets on another platform. There's value attached to an asset. Will I lose value if I shift it from one platform to another? That's another safeguard which law maybe can provide. And
so now you have heard these 4 distinguished speakers about their vision for the future, where we are entering with all these new technical developments and how it is changing our business. But now I'm very curious to hear about you, the audience. Do we have any questions out there? Is there something that is on your mind where you see there's a point we need to address here when we talk technical evolution and how it is changing our business? Do we have any questions? Because if you don't have a question, I have a question. Okay, amazing.
All right.
Well, when we went from Web 1.0, we had this just an amazing amount of companies that were set up at the beginning, a lot of investment, and then there was that bubble that burst in 2000. And then it cleaned up and the real companies sort of came through, the ones that had real model profitability, and not necessarily profit, but a way towards profitability. My question to Paweł is, do you think that we've now got to the stage where 2.0 is, are we at a stage where it's burst that we're going into, sorry, 3.0 is burst that we can now go into it?
So, in my opinion, totally yes, because it's very similar what's happening right now in the crypto market, in the blockchain space, that was happening during the dot-com bubble burst. A lot of companies overvalued, overinvested, not delivering products, etc. And the same thing happened because in 2000, it was enough to add .com to get capital and to not build anything. Right now, it was easy to say that I'm planning to earn company and to get 5 million funding, easy. And after .com bubble burst, a whole new economy has been built. No one before heard about e-commerce, about digital marketing, about social media. But right now, those are the areas which are giving hundreds of millions of jobs worldwide. It took us a decade to get there, and tools were needed, like online payments. Without online payments, we would never have the current state of advancement of e-commerce. And the same thing is happening right now in the crypto space. And we need tools to get there in 5 years to be those big guys and have this new economy built around the blockchain. So for sure, this is very similar. We are there, and we are going to be in a much better position in the future.
Speaking about tools, now we are ending this session, but I have some quick questions to you all right now, and that is about use cases. How can we make things smarter? Because that is what it's all about. If we can't make things smarter, why should we do it? So if you have to invest tomorrow in one single use case that could be much better, much smarter, where would you start? Where would you invest your money?
Well, clearly, I think that there's no trust unless you have identity. So for me, I'm going to talk about my company, but the reality is you've got to know, you've got to be known and identified to be going into 3.0. It has to be for the digital economy, and that's super, super key. And the use cases there are so many,
But the identification, that would be the area you would look into. What about you?
Right. So I would think personalized mobile wallets, but that would with a twist on having that immersive experience, and absolutely the intercorrelation with AI and maybe some sort of immersive experience through the metaverse could be part of it as well.
And what about you, Paweł?
I would say that I would invest into security, but that has been said, so I will use. I don't know what is happening. So I would invest into the companies that are producing assets, digital assets, backed by real-world assets, which is the combination of the old world with the new world, which is the transition period that we need right now, and which involves RegTech and regulations to be in place to secure this and to provide certificate of ownership of different assets in the real world backed by the digital ones.
And what about you?
I think I would visit any company which is seeking to embed your traditional financial services into the more digital and disruptive world.
As a lawyer, I would go into smart contracts that really have a use case. I love intellectual property. I love how music rights are distributed. I like to see how tickets can be validated so we get rid of this secondary market with all kinds of scalpers using other people's property to earn money. So I think we have a lot of use cases where we can make this world much, much smarter. That is a big thing about the whole technical evolution. It doesn't make sense if it doesn't change the world to a better place. Thank you so much, all of you, for this amazing panel. Thank you for not the many questions you had, but at least you seem to be not sleeping. Many of you were smiling, so thank you for that.